I loves me some 1 degree of Chunky B.
Okay, bring it down, yeah, we'll come back out.
I was in a family squabble with Donnie and Marie. Find somebody that can brag about that. Find somebody that Dr. Phil called.
Find someone that Dr. Phil called a retard.
I'm the only one on record. And I'm proud of it.
That's going to be the new promo coming in. The only man in America that Dr. Phil has called a retard. Chunky B.
Guys.
Yes.
I'm going to flat out tell you, and I know every single week I'm thinking, okay, this is the biggie. We truly have the biggie. I'm excited about a living legend that in a community that we live in, and I'm not going to mention his name just yet because we're going to go around a table of love in the garage of love at 1 degree of. First of all, people, what am I talking about? Thank you for even watching and tuning in to 1 degree of Chunky B, of course, on chunkybee.tv, and we're in the garage of love. And what another freaking special day we have. But before we go, say hello to the executive producer of 1 degree of Chunky B. He goes by the name of Gary Adler.
Thank you, Chunky. I couldn't be more excited to be here today. This is a bucket list for me. I'm checking this one off. Remember you took me to the Playboy Mansion?
Yes.
That was a bucket list check off. Today's another one.
Today is this is your Playboy Mansion.
This is my Playboy
and
Mansion.
People right now listening and right now, hold that thought. Look at you, want to talk. Do not talk just yet. And of course, the Wizard of the Knobs in the Garage of Love of 1 degree of Chunky B. Please give it up for Travis Spencer.
Attaboy, Trav.
Hello, America.
Can we see the signature?
The knobs.
There you go.
It's an honor to be here with you, sir.
All right, hold on. Don't go too far. Legends, living legends that manipulated the growth of a community, manipulated the style of a sport. I'm going to cut right into it and say what a great honor it is to have Skip Engblom in the Garage of Love. Big round of applause.
Awesome.
Skip, let me ask the first
No, you
question
go right
because
ahead.
I've been waiting for this. Do you ever walk down Venice Boardwalk and look at the kids and say, you have no idea?
No. No. What idea should they have?
The man across the table, Gary Adler, this is basically his Christmas morning, and I know he wants to start off by a series of fun-loving questions, and so people that are watching and listening right now can figure out the legend that you are.
I don't really understand this legend stuff, but okay.
Well, I'll break it down.
Yes.
Okay. There are people who get famous after they die, and there are people who every now and then get famous for while they're living. And I don't know if you could have ever predicted how this whole thing would have blown up into movies and stuff like that back when you were doing it, but it certainly happened, and it doesn't happen to a lot of people. And so I figure your stock went pretty high in around 2008, 2009. Is that right?
There's a free meal in there someplace.
Catering.
Can you just give the people at home just a quick little timeline of how you arrived in Venice? Just a quickie.
Okay, well, I was born in Hollywood, and my father helped start professional wrestling, and my mother was a swimmer and a model in Europe. And then they came to America. They had me. We moved to Washington State. They got divorced. We moved back to Hollywood. I went to 3 different elementary schools by the time I was in the second grade. And what happened was there was an old professional wrestler on Santa Monica Beach, where the original Muscle Beach was called Honest John, and he had a hamburger. He was a friend of my father's, and he had a surf mat rental company. And somehow every year he managed to persuade these people at the old Hotel Monica to give my grandmother and I a room. I don't know how we paid for it. I mean, we were there for 6 weeks. And I would go down and help him rent surf mats during the day. So in the morning I could use the surf mats before the tourists showed up, and then I'd get free hot dogs, and then we pull all the stuff in at night. So one morning I went down to go ride my surf mat, and this was knee paddling a surfboard, which I didn't know at the time was even possible, or a surfboard. I didn't know anything about them. And he just paddled past me. I found out Pete Peterson. He had this like salvage business on the end of the pier. And as he's knee paddling, this wave came, and he stood up and he rode across it. And at that moment, I just thought, that's this thing I'm going to do forever. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get here or do this, but like, I was like 9, 10 years old or something. I just went, that's it for me.
Like you just saw something that.
Yes, that was the epiphany. Just was that moment. So, from that moment on, I kept trying to find out what this guy did.
You didn't even know the name of it.
No, and I try to describe it to people, and they look at you like you're a 10-year-old lunatic. You know what I mean? Probably in those days they were probably on lithium or something, and But no, I mean seriously. I mean they got this babbling 10-year-old fat kid who's just going, and then this guy went with this thing, and they're going like, wow. You know what I mean? In Hollywood, they didn't understand. You know what I mean?
It's like telling someone you saw an alien.
Yeah, and I was going to Catholic school, so I was used to aliens. So they one day they put this Disney thing on, right? Like, and like in Catholic school they show you these things like in these movies, they come in this the giant 16mm projector,
right?
They show this thing, and all of a sudden it's this footage from like the 1930s or 40s, and it says surfboard riding in Hawaii, and these guys are like riding these things, black and white photos of Duke Kahanamoku or something to ride. And I went, that's it, it's called surfing. And I instantly went to the office.
Got kicked out.
Yeah,
kicked out of class.
Oh no, they don't kick you out of class in Catholic school. It's like the bloody knuckle dance studio. They're just like, they go, okay, like they hit you, and then they send you, sure, the way it should be, and then they send you to the altar to pray all day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is a whole other thing.
Right.
Because we were next to Hollywood Boulevard. We're at Sunset, and Hollywood Boulevard's above us. So my godbrother and I, also a real troublemaker, I might add.
Right.
They went, you have to stay here all day and pray. And my godbrother at 9:30 in the morning goes, no one's coming. Let's go to see a movie. So we just took off the cassocks and things, hid them, went up, panhandled some money, went to Hollywood Boulevard, saw a movie, came back, and they asked us at the end of the day, like, what did you learn? Did you learn your lesson? We went, absolutely.
Yes.
that we could get out of here and see a movie.
So when did you migrate permanently down to Venice?
Well, what happened was I needed to get down to the beach, and so I knew that Santa Monica Boulevard went from Hollywood all the way to Santa Monica Pier. So I started like riding my bike at 4 o'clock in the morning just to go look at the ocean. And one day, some friend of my mother riding back from Beverly Hills about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I could literally go at 4. It would take me all day to get there. I'd look at the ocean for 20 minutes, turn around, and ride back.
Wow.
And so my mom goes, what are you doing? And I just went, listen, I don't hate being in Hollywood. I want to be at the ocean and stuff. So she went, okay. And about 6 weeks later, it's just like summer's going to come. And she goes, so we're moving. I went, what do you mean? She goes, well, I got rented some place in Venice Beach. And I went, okay. And it was like, literally, there's a Venice Circle. And there's a little street called Ennis Place, which is named after Ennis' son. Okay. And there's a place, Trading Post Liquors was right there. And we're 1 block off the Sand.
Like where the B of A is now, or whatever.
Yeah, the B of A was there then. There was a Security Pacific Bank too, and then a horrible old like market. But I mean, it was a slum. It was just a complete slum. It was great.
The whole area. Yeah.
No, it was better as a slum.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like.
What was there a boardwalk of any kind?
Oh yeah,
then?
it was like they hadn't even built the Venice Pavilion yet. I watched them kind of build the Venice Pavilion and tear down the Venice Pavilion.
Right.
Sort of the whole evolution of like a badly. Yeah. It was like almost like that time, they had all these like work projects, sort of where they're just the city or state or county or whatever coming go, we'll just build something. We don't care how.
Just employ people.
Yeah, not how functional it is.
Right.
Or, I mean, they turned the thing the wrong direction of the wind. It was just, I mean, everything, every aspect of doing this thing was completely wrong. It looked like that Soviet architecture. You know what I mean? Like
What was the Venice Pavilion?
it was right there where the Venice Breakwater is.
Right.
Where the skateboard park is now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
We're sitting here talking, and people are tuning in right now. Can we give some power words into what Skip represents? Dogtown. Okay. I don't even think we've even mentioned that right now.
Well, I think there's some sort of unspoken stuff, but yeah, for sure. I mean, Skip, you started the Zephyr. You started. It was Jeff Ho Surfboards and Zephyr Productions.
Right.
With Craig Stesick, was he involved as well?
Yeah, Craig Stesick, me, and Jeff, or however.
And how
however
old were
grammatically
you
want to put that.
when you met Jeff Ho and when all that stuff got started?
Well, I'd come off of, let's see. So I went to sea as a merchant seaman for a couple of years. And then I had this money and I had this problem with the government. So I had to stay around and have an attorney. And I couldn't get a job. I mean, no one wanted to hire you because they never, they didn't want to put it, obviously, before I was a merchant seaman, I was working in the marina doing boats. Mm-hmm. And I just got out of high school, didn't want to catch this college deferment. Just because I needed money, you know what I mean? It was like, I had to weigh rationally, like eating versus education, and eating won. And so, and the merchant seaman thing was good. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But for some reason, everybody else who was a merchant seaman, like, had these deferments, and for some reason they wouldn't give me one. And so then I had to get a lawyer, and then it's a long story short. But anyway, so I came back, had this money for being a merchant seaman, and it had been raining in California here for about like 3 months straight. And when Jeff Ho's place had been rained out and things, and I had never met Jeff. Mm-hmm. I'd used one of his surfboards once in a contest and did really well on it, and I borrowed from his friend. And make a long story short, went and found a building in West Los Angeles that day. The first day I met him, we went into business. Shook hands, went into business, and just started manufacturing surfboards. And I was waiting around for stuff. Then we were happy. We were happy having a factory.
Yeah.
But our dealer was going out of business because he was some marital or something. I don't remember exactly the parameters of that. But so he had a retail store. He goes, well, do you want this retail store? Well, I've never been in, I have zero education about this type of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, Jeff's dad owned just a huge, laundry business. But he wasn't, like, he hadn't time to go broker us into how to run a business.
Right.
So with everything, fly by the seat of your pants.
Right.
Every month was a struggle if you're going to make the rent or not make the rent. But we just did it, and what we found was that we had a pretty good winning combination in terms of how to make a product that was really good. And, always realistically, you want to, anything you do, you want to make something, if you're going to make something, it should be really good. And at that time, surfboards were just really cheap. I mean, there was like no money in them.
Right.
And so devised a plan just to charge really a lot of money for them. Because the theory was like, why make 10 for no money when you can make one
Right.
that like is really good, and that one person in 10 will buy it. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, it was a hard sell.
Right. But Skip, didn't you even change like the artwork on boards?
Craig Stesick, who history of the auto industry through his father. His father was a guy at Ford, and was friends with like Barris and all these guys, Von Dutch and stuff. And so he came out of a background of like auto painting and stuff, and so he devised this idea about airbrushing the surfboard. And I kind of devised the idea about like making a sanded finish surfboard. And just because it was less money to do the sanded finish.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, it gave it a look.
Right.
You know what I mean? The idea was that you would have this product that had this like beautiful colors, but with a look that like really looked more efficient and more machine.
And did it start clicking? Were you guys rolling by then?
It's just start. It was a slow. Let me just say this, okay? Overnight success is about 10 years.
Right. Well, you know, we've learned that on this show. Yeah. Yeah, we're still on year 1.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, seriously, it's about, realistically, it takes about a decade. I mean, it's like, and I'll just go back, I'll just get past this, but if I go like to the movie The Lords of Dogtown, right?
Right, yes.
Which was a good film. I'll just say this, like, people keep trying to tell me that I should say it was a bad movie. It wasn't a bad movie, it was a good movie. If people didn't like it because they liked the documentary more,
Right.
that's them.
How accurate was it?
85%.
85? Why not? That's precise.
Well, you know, the reviews, you know, when the reviews came out, it said the movie was good, maybe a bit campy, but that Heath Ledger's portrayal of this man right here was amazing.
Okay, Skip. Sorry, Adler, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go right ahead.
But how cool is it that you, this Hollywood big celebrity movie star, playing you?
Well, I asked for him.
No, stop it.
No, really, it was like, because in the beginning of this thing, when they signed us up for this life rights deals, they asked me who, and I went him, and that was just my only choice. And they just went, no, never get this guy, da 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 da. I went, okay, fine. And then they'd come back and ask me, like a year later, same answer, 2 years later, same answer, right? So finally, and I've told this story a million times, they asked me, I go, you can get a Heath Ledger, or you can get Jack Black, or you can get Whoopi Goldberg. Well, you laugh at that, but see, like I know it sounds really funny, but I want you to really think about that. Like, Whoopi Goldberg playing me would have been great.
I would have paid money, but yeah.
No, it's like, you know, first of all, she could carry a movie, right? And that's what if how
But
you're
she
looking.
can't surf.
How do you know that? One of my best friends was this black guy, Michael West, who was a great surfer.
No, I'm not talking about it.
But he wasn't a black Jewish woman.
Right.
It was
with no eyebrows. You have to have eyebrows to surf.
The thing is like, to just continue on this question.
Yes.
So then one day I get this call and they go, listen, we don't know how to tell you this, but Heath Ledger called up and wants to play you in this movie. And he does. It's just that. It's like, you just don't understand how stuff works with me.
Right.
Right.
You put it out in the universe and it came back.
Right.
There
It was
you go.
because you got to understand, like, one of his friends is Simon Baker. Okay.
Right.
The guy, the Minimalist.
Right.
That guy was a world-class surfer. Do you know that?
Is that right?
Huh? Oh yeah, the guy was he's fully professional level surfer. Okay, he was friends with Heath. He used to surf with Heath. Heath was a surfer. That's the thing you gotta understand. Surfer, skateboarder. It's like there's that whole underneath subtext of stuff that happens.
Gotcha.
So
You know what I mean?
when Heath got wind that you wanted him to play him in the movie, I'm sure he knew a bit of the history.
Yeah, not only that, but you got to understand, like, his agent at the time was married and is married to this girl whose older brothers and stuff were friends of mine that surfed and things, and they're from Topanga. And so their whole family knew about surfing all the way down to his. So it's like, there's just a weird kind of like synchronicity that stuff happens sometimes in life where you just move through things, but you just have to be flexible enough to understand that and not really get, weird behind. You can't get too set behind stuff, because what happens is that, like, then you become disappointed, and there's no reason to be disappointed how things work out.
And how long did you and Heath hang out before you shot the movie?
A bunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And decent guy, right?
Like, one of the best human beings ever.
Wow. What a shame, man.
Yeah, no, my wife to this day still grieves.
My wife, too, because he was on the top of her list.
When
Mine too.
did you understand the fact that your life and your lifestyle was movie worthy?
I don't really understand that. I'm very honest and candid with you. I don't understand it at all. I mean, it's just like, I just don't understand it. Why, people, it started with a magazine article some guy in New York wrote.
Right.
Fundamentally, a guy who knew nothing about surfing and skateboarding. He had no dog in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was just, they were in some meeting in some magazine in New York, and one of these guys posed a question, like, where did this stuff start? Like, how did this lifestyle choice start. Now, to me, the lifestyle started in the 1930s or 1930s in Hawaii. That's my take on stuff.
Right.
Right. You know, I have to look back on these people that, like, basically in an underground manner were going against the religious teachings of the church in Hawaii and stuff, and we're surfing in secret and learning to remake surfboards again and do all these things.
Yeah,
right?
the missions banned surfing over
Right.
there for a while.
Right. They also,
Because it was a pure pleasure sport, and they were like, no, that's not
You
happening.
can't have that much
well,
pleasure.
the thing was too, they also brought all these plants with them that had thorns, so the Hawaiians couldn't walk barefoot.
Super.
Wow.
That's super.
That's super rare.
Anyway, Hawaiian Islands would like you to.
Right. Okay, another question. When did you think that whole Dogtown, that whole thing that you were a part of, was at the top of your game? How old were you? Don't give me the year. Give me your age of, like, things were peaking, things were good, and then all of a sudden it started to.
Well, I went into business with Jeff when I was like 21 or something, and I went back to live in when I was 26. So it's like there's a 5-year window that really, situation.
Now, I never got into, and you and I never talked about this, but were you?
Oh, it sucked.
It did. Were you fighting a good fight the whole time, or were you actually?
We never made any money.
Really?
Yeah, we never made any money.
Oh, off of this, what about?
I did better. I did better after.
With the skateboard company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, can I jump in again? Because I
Dude,
know
it's-
you've got a list over there.
It's your show, my friend. You got the names on the billboard.
Okay, well, first I always know who you are, but and I love that territorial, get the heck off my mentality, which sometimes still occurs, like maybe at the pier or even down south. But were you guys a pack of badasses?
I don't know what you mean by that exactly, because the thing is that wave was so dangerous, okay, that if somebody would take off in front of you, they basically were telling you that they didn't care if you got killed. It wasn't like going surfing Malibu or something. It wasn't,
Right.
you know what I mean? It wasn't, it was, personally, I think anybody should be able to surf anywhere. I mean, I don't really buy into this localism stuff, because, we're just, people on this planet.
Nomads.
Right.
Yeah.
And I traveled extensively. When I was in Merchant Seaman, I took out a surfboard and I went out in the water, Sri Lanka, and I was like the only person in the water. What if some guy had paddled up from Sri Lanka and went, hey, get the hell out of here?
Right.
No, I mean, seriously. It's like, when you
Right.
think about it, it's like,
And this is what I try and tell my kids, because they see all that BS down there, and I tell them, there's other places in the world. We love this little break, and yeah, if someone's a kook and drops in on you, you might want to say something, but
Right.
no one needs to come to blows over a wave.
well, I mean, it's like, let me just say this, okay? In there's appropriate times to say things to people and inappropriate times to say things to people. I mean, if you, like if, for example, you just come down here one day out of the blue and start like dropping it on everybody, indiscriminately,
Yeah.
then somebody's going to say it's just natural. I mean, how you take that is like how you take it.
Right.
I mean, there are places in California that you go surfing. I've gone to places where people say, yeah, man, if you go surfing there, this guy's going to work you over. And okay, fine, but it's a wave. I went out and no one said anything, not, I mean, and just the reason is that I didn't just paddle out and take off in front of somebody. In Hawaii, I didn't do that.
Right.
In California, I don't do that. And didn't do it in Australia or anything. New Zealand, there's any places I've surfed. Mexico, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had friction in the water, absolutely. You know what I mean? In the old days, like Santa Monica was nothing compared to some of those days up in Oxnard in the old days. I mean, that was like, you could get a good surf and you could get a match too. Right. You know what I mean? But the thing is that, it's like I think compared to like professional football or something, I mean, like how hard can you really get hit?
Right.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's not people, like, you go down to Venice Beach and watch these people play basketball, just some trash talking, it's unbelievable.
It's arguable.
You know? Yeah, it's like, you know, there's a foul, you didn't call that foul, you fouled me up, you know.
Yeah.
You know, then it can get gnarly. I mean, I saw stuff in Dogtown as a kid that was on the hoop course down there that were just like, whoa, you gotta be kidding. So yeah, there's, you know, I mean, what, 120-pound 5'4" surfer, how brutal do you think the guy could really hurt you?
Right.
Well, you know, some people always like rewrite the history of what you were right there on a day-to-day basis. Do you ever read some shit going like, wow, that's not the way it was?
Yeah, and the thing is like I've had people stories about me that are 10 feet away that don't even know I'm standing there, right. and they supposedly know me. So
Right,
it's
right.
Like, so it's like I just go, wow, that guy really sounds like a jerk.
Now, let me ask you something about, you know, when you and Jeff split and the company split. I mean, there's basically 3 brands on the table. How is that divvied up at this time? Like, I know there's the Dogtown brand, there's the Zephyr brand, there's a Z-boy brand now.
I don't know about any of that stuff.
How does that even, like, who?
Doesn't pertain to me.
It doesn't.
No,
You don't have a stake in any of that.
No, I don't have a dog in that fight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I have Santa Monica Airlines skateboards I've had for 36 years. Why I care about those things?
Well, let me ask you this. Why did you name your company Santa Monica Airlines?
Because we were across the street from Douglas Aircraft, and I just figured, like, hey, you know, I always wanted to own an airline, and start small and work up, you know.
That's funny, man. All right, well, that's cool. And you and Stacy Peralta, you still have a special relationship?
Stacy are solid.
Yeah.
I just like called him a couple of weeks ago actually about something.
He's the one who really, he's the one, to answer your question earlier, who went, you know, this is movie worthy. Am I right?
Well, that's not entirely correct.
Okay.
What happened was the studio said it was movie worthy. Okay. And there were 2 separate groups of producers, and they wanted to do this film, and then they ended up having condensing or whatever into one, congealing, however you want to put that,
Right.
into one situation with John Linson, who, by the way, is a nice person.
That's good. And, but what about the documentary? Was that
what
started first?
No, what happened is, so Stacy went because he'd been in Hollywood, you know, working as an actor and doing things, right? And he went and listen, before these guys get a hold of it and mangle it, let's put a documentary together.
So smart.
Right, to see what happened. Well, it was good and it was bad simultaneously, because what happened is the documentary was so good and so influential that, like, people are finally seeing the regular movie 10 years later and going, yeah, that's a really good film.
Right.
Like I just saw it last week. Like, man, if you just came out, I could have some money for something for a change.
Really?
Well, you know, that's funny, because on this show, a lot of times we asked our guests to talk about the one that got away, and it just feels like,
Well, nothing got away. I'm still good, golden.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I get up every morning. I have a good life. I'm not like, you can't. What are you supposed to do? You know what I mean?
No regrets.
Like,
you have no regrets.
No, zero. What am I supposed to do?
Good for you.
What do you do for fun?
Huh?
What do you do for fun? You get some time to yourself. What are you doing? What does Skip do?
I have actually like a super full existence.
Yeah.
Like, part of the thing is that I work down at Aquatech Surfboards 3 days a week, so I still keep my hands in.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the thing is I still have my skateboard business with my partner Tony Converse, and Tony fundamentally runs the SMA situation now because you just need somebody that's like younger, more energetic, you know, like to sort of hand things off to in a lot of ways. And so he runs more of the day-to-day operations and of that. And he and I go out to Ontario 3 times a month, and we hand make skateboards out there in this wood shop. We hand stain everyone individually, and they're more like art projects than they are.
Right.
I've gone past the idea of commerce and into them being objects. You know what I mean? It's like what happened is like you can go, you know, you put all this time and effort in these things, and there's like, we sell 10 and these other companies sell 1,000 a week, right?
Sure.
So if you looked at it like that way, we'd probably be abject failures again. right? And
Right.
But the thing is like, once you get into the idea that you're creating something that the value more down the line is a better product and a more artistic
Right.
product
And collectible.
right.
So
Yeah.
you're talking quality, not quantity.
Right.
Right. Well, I just know a handful of teenagers. I can think of 3 of them right now that would love to be sponsored by your company.
What are you talking about?
Skateboards.
Skip gives my kids decks all the time.
What?
If I could retire on all the decks I've given away over
I
the years.
bet.
But I mean, it's like in the back of my mind, I'd rather just go here, just take this, and do something with it, and you burn that energy up doing that, like you breaking into my car,
Well, that's good.
Sure.
right? I mean, it's like, you know, all these social programs that they have out there are fundamentally failures because they don't really reach the criteria of like, let's do something. You know what I mean? It's like you'd be better off like taking that money and giving every one of those kids a skateboard or a surfboard or a basketball or baseball diamond
Gotcha.
or something where they learn the discipline. Like the thing that's really cool about skateboarding, and I'll just go into something I know the most about, is that you have to be a self-starter. You have to absolutely get out of the house at 5 o'clock in the morning. You have to want to go in the cold ocean. You want to spend the hour do that before school. Then you have to become. There's a certain discipline that you learn, and you learn patience, and you also learn failure. And
Right.
and what happens is like once you learn to overcome failure, you can embrace success, and that's like important because if you don't embrace failure, you'll never be able to embrace success.
Do you know how
Shin,
emotional?
you get shin bumps?
Man, I tell you what, Skip, what a freaking honor. We're going to drop this down for just a second.
Ask him if you have a Facebook page, you have anything that the folks can sort of get in touch with you on or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page. And,
You know, I tried to friend you on Facebook and it said you had so many requests you couldn't take it any more requests.
That's Mr.
I'm
Popular.
like, I think I'm like 900 people over the limit. I actually have to set up a fan page or something, which to me is like really weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because why would you be my fan?
Even after all this, you know, he doesn't
I
realize.
don't understand.
It's amazing,
what
right?
you not get?
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. Let's take a break.
And I've got a couple other questions right after this break. And I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break, but you're not going to leave the seat. You can take your headsets up.
I'm actually drink some of this fabulous
All right.
water.
We'll be right back.
Awesome.
God, how humble. But Skip. Oh, yeah. Hey guys, we're back. We're in the 1 degree B. Thank you for tuning in and snapping on to Chunky B.
That was the drummer.
Yeah, right. With one stick that just broke. Anyway,
Def Leppard or something.
you
I'm
guys.
sorry about that. I wasn't mean to be
Dude, don't
offensive.
apologize.
Yeah, you don't
This
have
is
to
a podcast,
dude. You're in the garage of love. You can fucking say whatever the fuck you want, man. Skip Engblom.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, okay.
It's about good. Okay.
It's close. It's close. You know, if you know anything about Venice, skateboards, and surfing, and if you don't, do me a favor right now and just get online and find what an honor it is to have Skip in the garage of love. And I'm gonna just snap back to when you're right in the pocket, in the groove with the Z-boys, the Dogtown, that whole thing. Two-part question: what did you get away with, and what did you not get away with?
Oh man, I'm trying to think about the statute of limitations. Well, I got away without having to have a real job.
That's great.
That's good. That's Chunky's path.
Maybe we
I
talk
could
after the
I
show.
write you down some instructions on how to avoid that stuff.
Right on.
You know what I mean?
All right, you
Because-
got away without living a normal 9-to-5er?
Right. Yeah. So
Okay.
it was a normal, like, 16 to 18-hour day. People, see, the thing is that what's so amazing is that people think that we didn't really do anything. We were constantly doing stuff. Like, you know what I mean? We were probably the first company actually ever that, like, vertically integrated in the surfboard business. We made everything ourselves. But I mean, it was like, you know, it was in the surfboard industry. I mean, we were doing our place, and then we were working for this other surfboard company doing contract work too. So we'd work at our factory, then go over to this other guy's factory and work. And you know, surfboard, there was like really no surfboard manufacturer on the East Coast or Europe. So it's like everything, you were doing some 200 surfboards a week. You know what I mean? That were going. So you're running the factory 24/7 with like shifts of guys, and you know, you just kept throwing warm bodies in. Guys were living in their trucks in the parking lot, and wanted to get clean. They took a box of Tide and they turned on the literally turned on the fire, thing for the fire department.
Sure.
Had a key to that. Just turned that and put
Shower.
under the shower, and that was your trunks, and it would be crazy. People would be bringing food, it'd be card games, and people would be drunk and twisted, and chicks, but they just were there 24/7. You just never left. You know, it was sort of like prison, but fun.
Were you like a rock star without a guitar?
No.
I mean, you just talked about drugs and chicks and showering in public.
But I mean, that was the 70s. I mean, it's like that was a normal. That wasn't just us. You know what I mean?
That was the thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at these, Grateful Dead poster you have. There's there was a bunch of stuff happening. You know, like you just went. Like in '67, I went to go surfing in Malibu, and I ended up at the Monterey Pop Festival. You know what I mean?
Accidentally.
Yeah. I picked up this guy and these two chicks hitchhiking on the coast. I told them, well, I could drop them off at Malibu. Surf was no good. I ended up going to Santa Barbara. Surf was no good. Somehow the guy just had a roll of cash and two women, and goes, "We could go. You want to go to Monterey? There's this music thing going." And I went, "Yeah, sure. That sounds fine. I'll just go with that." I don't have any place for the next few days.
Nice.
And went.
That's awesome.
And I mean, we stayed overnight at Esalen, traded around things, and
That's crazy.
When the
Jimi Hendrix.
I know, Jim. That's when he put the guitar on fire.
Yeah.
Did you see that personally?
Yeah.
You were live for that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
that's killer.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, we used to have there was all kinds of music venues here back then. Like there was, Pandora's Box and the Sea Witch. I mean, I'd be underage to get into. There was a place called the Top Hat Club that was on Pico that like I was too young to get in, but there was this kind of weird little alcove thing, and the guy who was the owner or something would like put like a chair out there, and I could sit on Pico with this window open. These guys play music. It was great. You know what I mean?
So music was also a part of your scene too?
Yeah, sure. We'd go to Hollywood all the time, or the Shrine dance concerts. Like, interesting enough, like I ended up working for one of the guys who was one of the owners of Jimmy's Clothing. Later on, a guy Sepp, like he ran the Shrine dance concerts, and he had hired this guy John Van Hammersveld to do all the artwork. I got like a big John Van Hammersveld Marilyn Monroe thing at home.
I was going to ask him if he must have a museum at his house.
Not really. I live
Really?
No, my wife and I live in a converted barn. We've like, when most people are trying to get more stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we got to the point where like we live a sort of very minimalist existence.
But there must have been things that came into your life.
I have two
along the
garages
way.
full of stuff.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I'd
What
love
are
to
you
see
gonna
that.
do with them?
I'd love to see those garages.
Why don't you start your own skip museum? A Dogtown museum.
Why would I?
Wait.
Why would I want to do that?
Because I think
I mean, so something that occupy my time.
Right,
more.
that sounds like a lot of work.
But I just think you had something so special that actually, I know you're an art guy and you do.
I'm working on weapons right now.
Well, look what happens when he shows his artwork.
I'm working on. I got into this kind of weird thing where when I got a hip replacement about 3 years ago, which I'd recommend to anybody that needs it, and I can tell you the doctor.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah, you are speaking directly to our audience.
Okay,
People
well,
who need hip replacements.
Well, no, the guy's in Beverly Hills. And his name is Dr. Raji Patel, and he looks like a Bollywood movie star.
Okay.
And he's an unbelievably good sports medicine surgeon.
There we go. Listeners,
Right. So anyway, but I digress or degrass or whatever.
you do something with grass.
I'm going backwards into the
Are you still
future.
smoking pot?
No, are you kidding me? Sober 24 years.
Oh,
For you, man. I wanted to ask when the Zephyr team and Jay, I know Jay just sort of skated up to you one day and said, "Hey, you guys should start a skate team." What were they riding back then? What kind of board? What skateboards?
Just
were they
wood
riding?
made.
That's it.
Just whatever they could put together. You know,
There weren't any brands yet. No.
It was kind of interesting because Bain was trying to develop the single ski down in Encinitas,
Right.
which was realistically the forerunner to the snowboard. They're only were they like you want to talk about the big one that got away,
Yeah.
right? If they would just turn those like the things sideways instead of parallel, it would have been snowboarding like 10 big time snowboarding 10 years before snowboarding.
That would have fucked things up.
And yeah, I mean, it'd be a completely different deal.
Yeah.
But we were all into we had all gotten into snow skiing and stuff. I mean, you know, like Jeff and I and this guy Wayne and Noya, and I mean all the guys in the store. We all in the winters, like a lot of times we would go to Mammoth and stuff. It was like,
Right.
you know, we put a lot of days in snow. And what people didn't realize, what we were doing is we were riding really short skis, in particular Jeff, and instead of going they call the fall line, we were trying to drive up and over it and come down, and people, the traditional skier guys, would look at us like we were just insane.
Yeah, sure.
Like
I mean, they didn't relate to us at all and didn't like us. You know what I mean?
You were probably doing things that are against the grain, but at the same time, I'm sure you were enthusiastic and maybe loud and proud about it.
Well, we were having fun, but the thing was, is like when we had the store, these guys, Wayne Fergie and Daryl Wong, which were the first real like bump skiers, came in and talked to us about stuff, and they had like a ski camp up at Zephyr Cove in Tahoe in the summertime, and so you know it was kind of the interesting thing about the area, how it used to be, was there was a huge amount of cross-pollination. Like the studio behind us, we had eventually became John Baldessari's studio, but it was Bill Wegman's studio and this guy Michael Baylog before him, and then we had Gary Weiss was next door, who like ended up being the guy who helped pioneer all the video segments for Saturday Night Live. So, you know, and then when I was 15, I lived with this guy Laddie Dill in Hawaii, and he went on to become a really famous artist, and you know, so there was like art, like Bob Dylan had the Rolling Thunder Review practicing down the street from us on Main Street, so you could just go by there and listen to these guys practice or something, and you know, so there's a lot of stuff happening, you know, like Randy California and those guys lived across the street from the surfboard shop, and the Chambers brothers lived down on Hart Street, and you know what I mean, and then Bear and those guys lived on Topanga Beach from the canned heat, so it's like there was a lot of stuff happening around, you know, and you'd have to run into, like, there used to be a place called Olivia's. It was a soul food restaurant right where the California Heritage Museum is now in Santa Monica, and that's where that song Soul Kitchen was written, you know, by the Doors, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just a really super good place to eat and really cheap. And so like the Doors and stuff would be in there and these guys all the time, and you know what I mean, it's like, so it just the amount of influences in the neighborhood, like I'd walk home from Venice High School and watch like Shelby build Cobras, you know.
Right.
So you get this, you know, you just get so involved with all this stuff around you that you're become, you know, like you see somebody doing this and then you pick up a that, and you know, it becomes very much a psychological stew for you, you know what I mean? So like you like the thing that was cool back then is that you could see possibilities in everything, versus now where you can't see the possibility in anything, and which is sad because it's like there's actually, you know, huge possibilities out there, but the problem is that people are getting blocked from like the access to stuff because of like example, I could buy a car for $50. Right? For $50, I could buy a car. Okay. I could drive that car till it died on the coast highway and leave it there and hitchhike home.
Right.
And buy another car for $50.
Yeah, not so much anymore.
Right. That the idea that car was me and I was that car and that was the image and all this stuff, that's bullshit that happens now, is ridiculous.
Adler, I
Hey,
know
can you talk a little bit about the Hawaii SoCal connection and what you over there? You know, like why did you go to Hawaii, and when exactly?
It's like when they asked Louis, the actor, Sutton, why he robbed banks, he said that's where the money was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like with me, that's where the surf was, and fundamentally, there were these guys. There's this guy, Joe Chang, who was a great surfer here in Venice, and his old man ran the Civic Auditorium, and they lived across the street from Oakwood. And all these Hawaiian guys came to stay with them, you know, Boogie Kalama and Jr. and Gonzi. They're all their cousins and stuff. And Peter Pope Kale Apollo was over here, and he had won the Makaha contest as a junior the year before. And Harold Diggy was working for Dewey Weber. And
What were they doing over here?
They were just being Hawaiians.
They just came over to
Visit,
SoCal. Right.
And Urban Mokini was surfing Malibu all the time. And you know, Ernie Tanaka was here, and then there was Tak Kalahara, the guy that first sponsored me for surfboards. You know, like Tak took me under his wing and got me like surfboards and stuff. When
He was your mentor.
Yeah, like he was working for Kahn, then he went to work for Dewey Weber, and I had this friend in junior high school, Jackie Baxter, was probably one of the best kid surfers in the state at the time, and he was on the team, and this guy Victor Marino, who was like really my surfing mentor, and you know, Hawaii called, you know what I mean, and so I quit school and had a bunch of money that I made working at Trading Post Liquors and you know, collecting bottles and selling things. And
quitting school means high school?
Yeah. And so
but then you became a merchant seaman
later on.
Okay, I got you.
I came back. I was forced back into this state.
And at that point in Hawaii, was it the South Shore still? People were hanging on
I lived on the North Shore.
You did.
On I remember the 59279 Kanui Road,
Nice.
right in front of Pupakea.
Oh man.
We lived in an RV Quonset hut with like 7 or 8 other people from the Malibu Surfing Association were there.
Wow.
And this was really good. And we had Barry Kanaiapuni moved in with us, and there's other guys, and we'd just go surfing and play this card game.
How much did that improve your surfing?
A lot, because you either surf or die. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, but we'd go up, and strangely enough, me and this guy Harry Sonoda and this other guy Byron would walk up and surf this wave from Pupakea that people told us wasn't a wave, and it became this thing called what's that place called?
Pipeline?
No. the other place, the Rocky Point.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it wasn't a wave. In 1963, that wasn't a wave.
And were you
People
there?
would tell you, they'd watch it break, and they'd tell you that wasn't a wave.
How long were you there?
For a while.
Yeah.
And then I was going to go to high school in Kahuku, and then they wouldn't let me in because they thought I would be like, it was just too gnarly. I'd be the only person to kill Halliday. So so then I tried to get into school in Haleiwa, which was out of the district, and they sent these like truant officers guys around. And they figured out that there was this 15-year-old kid living in a house full of like guys who are like 20 years old, you know, and that maybe parental guidance was really happening.
Right. No structure.
So they sent me home, and I got back and went to Venice High School, and they wouldn't let me sign up originally because I didn't look right. I had to go get a haircut and things. So me and this guy Jackie Baxter went on like about a 3-month trip around California. I got a car. I got some money together. Got a car. And me and him just drove around, went surfing. Then he moved to Huntington, and then I came back and I went all through Venice High School. They made me sign this contract. They said I wouldn't miss school. So the first year I did really good, and they took the contract away. And the next year I missed 46 days.
Oh my. Don't even say that. 'cause-
Rincon was so good. That
yeah. Well, you know, I got a daughter, a freshman in Venice. This is why I wore it. It's in honor of you.
yeah.
Let me just ask some numbers. What's the biggest wave you ever came down?
20 foot plus at Waimea.
Oh, you surf Waimea. Wow.
Yeah, scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But I trained for a year.
Were you there before the Aussies came?
No, they were there then. I was in '63. There were. I mean, the Aussies always came over. In '63, like, God, I was really good friends with this guy Bob McTavish. He lived down the street. He had like stowaway on a ship, and there was a guy named Richard Cheech, and another guy named what was that other guy's name? God, I'm just kind of blanking out. But anyway, these three or four Australian guys lived at log cabins, and we lived up at Pukekea. And we had a good time with them. There was a game we used to play where we had this everybody has junker cars over there. I mean, and so we just drilled these holes through the roof and put 2x4s on top, and you'd have like 14 people and go to the movies. Right. And literally you'd sit on top and tie yourself onto the racks, and that was called riding Pecos Bill. and we go. There's an old theater down in Wahiwa called the Koga. And it was, I guess the Kane owners built it for the workers, and it just only showed samurai movies.
Nice.
Right?
Awesome.
So we go down there and you get some like lihimoe and some cuttlefish and some popcorn.
Right.
And you walk in, and we're sitting there one time, and all of a sudden you realize that the screen, something's happening on the screen, there's these like sort of drops and stuff. And then you realize that this theater has no roof. and they give you rain checks.
Wow.
Let me ask you this: if you had to make a choice, there's a theme going here. He only does sports that start with an S.
Okay.
Skateboarding, surfing, skiing.
Got it.
You can only do one. What would it be?
Surfing.
Surfing. That's your baby.
Yeah, it's like it's like skiing would be the lowest one.
Yeah.
Just because it's the most expensive and it's cold.
And it's far away.
Yeah.
I mean, Mammoth. You're a 5-hour drive.
Right.
Venice.
But if I was been into skiing, I would have moved to like Utah or Colorado or.
I bet you would have.
Yeah, I mean that you know, I mean, if that would have been, if I would have done that, that's what I would have done. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I would have worked at a ski shop or tuned skis or something. You know, I would have done some. I just would have been some function within that situation.
Change the subject. What's on your tombstone?
Nothing.
Blank.
Yeah.
Nothing like my last wave. Anything like you're an artist. You're creative. You're clever. And just blank.
First of all, it's half of a skateboard deck. It's not actually a tombstone.
I just want it. You can just cremate me and put me in a baggie and throw me off the end of Venice Pier.
There you go. That's done. Said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
People would show up for that. The pier would collapse.
Hey, can I ask a couple questions, Chunk? One,
Sure.
When Chris Cahill came back from Mexico, were you back in touch with him and friendly with him and all that stuff?
Me and Scott Anderson employed Chris for years.
You did.
Oh yeah.
When he came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, before. I mean, yeah. He was all. Yeah. My wife and I did some stuff for him financially, and he wants to get some money and stuff, and I would employ artwork if I didn't really need the artwork, or what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Scott, just always. Scott was great to him. Scott Anderson was great to Chris.
When did Scott come into the picture in Venice, and when did you meet him?
Well, I met him when he was first year of college at Santa Monica City College, and I was running the Natural Progression Factory in Santa Monica. And he came in, and he had been some surfboards in his garage, and he came as a repair kid, and then he just went. He's really super gifted. Yeah. There's a difference between being a surfboard builder and the guys that think they're shapers. There's just no connect there, right? I mean, Scott can do every part perfect.
Yeah.
Every part perfect.
That's awesome. He's a good guy to boot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's about maybe 8 or 9 guys out there that I know that can do every part perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of these people, they're labels.
All right, I'm going to ask this question because I asked my kid. Yeah, he knows my son Beck. And I said, Beck, if I got Skip for an hour, give me one question you want to ask him. Juvenile, but you're going to have to answer it, okay?
I might have to answer.
Who
it.
was your favorite Z-boy?
Ooh.
Beck stumped him. I've never heard a pause with Skip in that long.
Skip's been talking all day.
Well, I'm thinking because of there are aspects of all of them that I really like.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can't like that's the old joke like, oh, I love all my children the same.
Sure.
But I mean, there's like.
But who's the kid who when the bell rang in the front of the shop and it was him? You're like, cool, the kid's here.
Well, I mean, that's completely unfair because what happened is like example, like who do you think was the first Z-boy?
Hang on. I'm gonna give it a Nathan Pratt.
That's indeed correct.
What? That's what I'm talking about.
That's indeed correct.
Thank you.
Okay, and the there's somebody I still know to this day, right?
Yeah, you know, I shot at his place recently. He has a green screen studio in town. I shot at his place. He wasn't there, but I shot at his place.
But anyway, the thing is like he was the first one.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there'll always be a part of me that like really digs Nathan.
Sure.
Right. You know what I mean? But I knew Jay Adams when he was 4 years old. So, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's like it's just it's like one of those things. It's like it depends. Like I mean, like I really like Tony Alva a lot.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I really like Stacy Peralta and admire him. Shogo is great. Peggy's unbelievable.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're all
Alan Sarlo, great. You know what I
cool
mean?
people, like characters, true
Well,
characters.
they're all different. They're all different. It's like Beniak was amazing. You know, like I would, in a strange way. I know this sounds weird. Like I'd almost have to say Cahill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
He was the one who wasn't really down with all the commercialism. I do know that about him.
He was snake bit. He was a person that like had every skill imaginable, right? And yet like his timing was horrible.
That Jay Adams had a little bit of that in him too, didn't he?
No, Jay's always blessed.
Really?
You just don't understand. It's like you can't go through what Jay's gone through and be where Jay's at today without having some other force looking out over you.
Amazing. I got to tell you, you know, we have the Hall of Fame wall at the house.
Yeah.
Skip is there with my son Beck. Jeff Ho's there. Jay Adams took a picture with my kids down at a surf contest in San Clemente.
Right.
And he couldn't have been a nicer guy to my sons. I got to tell you, man. And you know, and he, like my kids look up to these guys. So like they're like, you know, for you it would be like, you know, meeting Marie Osmond. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's go time, Adler. It's go time.
What's wrong with that? She's an unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm just giving
she's-
Chunky a hard time, but I got to say,
she's a
every
friend.
time they meet one of these guys, they're just so down to earth and down to just sort of impart wisdom on them.
You know,
Well, I mean, the thing is that if you look at all of our existence, you know what I mean? Like, would any of us ever trade anything for anything different?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm lucky. Like, listen, all my hobbies became a way of making a living. I'm like now, you know, I've just like at this point in my life, I've decided to go into a whole other direction.
which is
Let's talk about that.
Okay, well, I'm starting to work for a company called Teles Real Estate.
Can you spell that?
Yeah, Teles. Okay. Here, I'm in the dentist's office. Okay. Now, you would think for a person like me, this would be just kind of a weird transition or something. Didn't mean to hit that microphone.
that's okay.
That's
all
all
right. We're in a Skip. All right, we can handle that.
Well, I know that's like, I mean, it's like sort of like being in the, you know, the bunker or something.
We'll make Travis fix it in post.
But the thing is that one of the things that you realize as you get older is that younger people need, and one of the ways they can succeed is that they can put together a piece of property. You know, it's like the whole real estate market crashed, right? But yet people still made money.
Yeah.
People still have their homes, a lot of them, right? You know, like if you create a situation and the property is a stable, you know, thing to have.
Especially here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so part of the reason is that, and I've always one of the things I was interested in when I was in school was I wanted to be a landscape architect. That was like my main, the thing. I went to Venice High School, that whole garden area there and stuff. I was in that every year I was in school. I used to take double and sometimes triple classes.
Wow.
Right. They had a beautiful teacher named Howard Yokoyama, which was a beautiful man, just so giving and really an educator. Strangely enough, just like Jim Muir's father owns Dogtown.
Right.
He was my junior high school gym teacher. He was my high school gym teacher, history teacher, driver's ed teacher.
Another mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Muir is unbelievable. Gene Muir is a great human being. Really, seriously, he was one of those people that would take time with you as a kid. You know what I mean? I was lucky, man. I worked for this guy named Richard Stern in a gas station as a kid, and he taught me a lot of stuff. And the guy who owned Trainbow Liquors, Warren Perry, they all imparted things to me.
And as a result, you became a mentor to lots of people.
Yeah, I tried
Yeah.
my best. If they asked for help, I'll give it to them. But the point is, one of the reasons I going to the real estate is because it goes back to this architectural thing. But also, the guy who owns the company, Peter Hernandez, his father had the real estate company around the corner from my house growing up as a kid. So I knew his dad.
Wow.
Right? I know what kind of person his father was, and I know what kind of person Peter is. Right? And I wouldn't have just gone into this thing just to go into work for a real estate company. I wanted to go to work for an organization that I actually believed in.
But that's how you run your life.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Peter gave me the opportunity to train me, and to start doing this, and I believe it is in a weird way, it's where you have commerce and service, where am I going to benefit financially? Yeah, sure. That's just a reality. It's a job and you'll get paid, and there's no reason to get really weird behind that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because everybody's got to make a living.
Everyone knows you make a commission when you sell real estate.
Right. So it's but the thing is, I don't really view it as selling something. It goes back to this thing where I didn't really view the skateboards I deal with now as a product. They're objects, right? But I view this kind of more along the lines that, especially if I really want to deal with younger buyers and things, and people that are getting started, because that if I can get you into something and get you started, 20 years from now when I'm not here, you'll look back on that and go, that was a good thing.
Yeah, that's great.
That was a good thing that guy got me into.
Right.
You know what I mean? He brought me into it kicking and screaming, but you know what I mean? So it's
that theory of teach someone to fish.
Right.
Instead of giving them a fish, teach them to fish.
So listen, for you sons and daughters of people who need hip replacements, you're looking
Dr.
for your
Raji
first
Patel.
home. You're looking for your first home.
Right.
Tell Us Real Estate. Is that what it's called? Tell Us Real
Tell
Estate?
Us.
Yeah.
Excellent. Get in touch with Skip. We're going to wrap this up, Chuck?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
to wrap this up, man.
I know. I want to let you know, and I'm sincerely telling you this, I can sit in this garage and we can do a freaking marathon or a mini
But
series.
we'll have him back.
Will you come back?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
All right.
awesome.
No.
I got a free lunch out. Why wouldn't I do that?
You pronounce
Another free lunch.
Okay, yeah, right. You pronounce your last name because around Venice people put a syllable. Say your last name.
Engblom.
Boom. You said it right.
Engblom.
Yeah,
That's what
good
I
job.
said. But
It's Finnish for field flower.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Because an eng is a field and a bloom, obviously.
Yeah, I love it. It's got nothing to do with water or skateboards.
No, it's but my father was, interesting enough, every member of my family's been to sea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was naturally in your
And
DNA.
my wife's father graduated from Annapolis. What do you think?
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I think he was a smart man.
Yeah, he's a smart man. He's produced a beautiful daughter.
Excellent. Hey, you guys, listen to me. Skip, nothing but love. Nothing but love. What an honor. You guys are watching and listening to 1 Degree of Chunky B on chunkybee.com in the Garage of Love.
It's actually chunkybee.tv.
Why do I always fucking say that? It's
okay.
chunkybee.tv.
Because that's the way you have a producer.
Yeah, you set it up.
I know it. Check it out. Check this out, Skip. We're gonna throw you a curveball here. It's got nothing to do with you, but I want you to congratulate the Wizard of the Knobs that just got engaged after our segment with Wendy Walsh, Dr. Wendy Walsh.
You have to
Skip's
deal,
got it.
deal with both those knobs.
Okay.
I got some new knobs.
Yeah, congratulations, Travis.
Thank you. It truly was the apocalypse, the end of my show, the end of the world.
Yes.
No,
And
no,
I'm
it's good.
newly engaged.
Trust me, once you learn to say you're right, you'll be cool.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
check this out. Skip.
Thanks for
Recap
that
real
advice. That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to recap. We had Dr. Wendy Walsh on on our last podcast, and
And that's who he's marrying?
no, God, he wishes. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, she was like, "Hey, Travis, you've been with this woman for close to 9 years. It's time to shit or get off the pond." And I don't know if Travis the pressure or the love or the growth of what Dr. Wendy Walsh, the wisdom that she gave to Travis. But you went home to break it down. How'd it go down?
You got to listen to the doctor first of all. She's a doctor. you know?
She's a doctor.
Well, so I ended my podcast. I did a podcast for a long time called Apocalyptic Times. We did 128 episodes, something like that. So I decided for the final episode, and I hadn't planned anything. In the last segment, and she was playing Kickstarter for she was in character as a British girl that they do a little web series for. So I actually proposed to the character. I didn't even propose to my girlfriend.
Does that count?
I don't know. We made
Might
it count.
Well, congratulations.
It was
you know,
cute. It was great,
Chunky and picking out the China, the DJ. We have the DJ set up.
We got a nice DJ, and
bachelor
Skip,
party.
we're gonna go ahead and invite Skip to the wedding right now.
And the bachelor
Beautiful.
party.
And the bachelor party.
Who's DJing for you?
I don't know. We're gonna have to find a good
DJ
DJ.
Ski will be there.
Because I have,
DJ
a,
Ski.
We got
I
DJ
have a
Ski.
DJ, man. Bennett Harada's on my skateboard team. He's with the Marley family and stuff.
Oh, there we go.
Well, guess what?
if
Ski
I'm
just
in
got
one degree
fired.
of Chunky B, I'll have every connection I can possibly imagine.
Chunky will be warming up the wedding party.
Beautiful. I love it. I love
You
it.
guys, we just had a blast in the Garage of Love. Thank you, Gary Adler.
You're
Gary
welcome.
Adler from Four Eyed Films. Please check him out on the internet. And Skip, once again, nothing but love, brother. Nothing but love. Thank you. We are D-O-N-E. Thank you.
Bye.
I loves me some 1 degree of chunky pea.